Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our Saturday interview. We have the one and the only Pablo Sanchez with us today, aka Joel. Currently
Sir.
second place in the league with a 7-2 record. Um, so we're gonna ask Joel some questions. We're gonna get to know him a little bit. We're gonna get to know his baseball mind. We're gonna get to know his team a little bit and kind of see what's going on. So Joel, welcome to the show,
Good to
sir.
be here. Good to be here.
Not many people say that, but I will accept it. I'll accept it. So we're gonna start off. You're 7-2. You're first place in the West. Second place overall. How are you feeling at this point in the season? I mean, we're only in week 10. We're not really to the All-Star break, so we're not really at kind of the hump. That's usually kind of that downhill slide to the end of the year. But how you feeling right now?
Yeah. I'm feeling good. I really like my team. I feel like I finally got all my pitchers set. Usually I have a pitcher or two always kind of like in rotation where I'm like have them and I think they're gonna do all right, then they do. I'm like, but if someone else comes up that I hear about, I'm fine with dropping them. And I feel like I had that earlier in the year. I feel like um, I've got some good depth now. I picked up Nick Pivetta and Sony Gray, and both of them have been pretty solid recently. So I'm feeling pretty good. I like all my pitchers. Um, yeah, my batters, most of them are pretty solid, like set. Wouldn't change them. Got a couple in there, probably Kepler, Morel. Um, yeah, probably those two are kind of like my flip in and out.
Mm-hmm.
Like if someone else is doing good and they're doing bad, I have no problem dropping them. But overall, really like my team. They've been performing. Some of them have started to step up. Bichette has finally started to do something. But yeah, no one. I only have one person on the IL. He's been on there the whole season. I might just drop him honestly, but yeah, feeling
Yeah,
good.
I mean, I'm going to address a couple of those things that you said because I was actually going to bring them up a little bit later, but you brought them up now, so we'll talk about it. Uh,
Yeah.
One surprising player that you actually have in your lineup, Paul Goldschmidt. I
Oh,
mean, Paul Goldschmidt's always a solid player, right? But this guy right now has
he is.
242 fantasy points this year. He's batting
Yes, sir.
347 with 16 home runs and 47 RBIs. I mean, he was the one when I looked at your lineup, I was like, he ain't supposed to be there.
He's
Like,
ridiculous.
he ain't supposed to be doing this. Maybe I could see maybe like 180 points at this point in the season,
Yeah,
190 productive player, but batting 347 with 16 home runs. I mean, come on.
he has been phenomenal. He is. I mean, and like at the beginning of the year, he was good and like way above most people. Um, but recently, he's just been on a tear, like
Yeah.
just absolutely insane.
I mean, to
Like,
put up 242 points, you have to be not just on a tear, but you got to be consistently on that tear.
oh, I mean, the last four games, here are his points: 11, 9, 19, and
Gosh.
3. Granted, they were all against the Pirates.
Yeah, but
Granted, they beat my Pirates,
that's
but that's
illegal,
all right. I
man.
got some good fantasy points out of it. Yeah,
Yeah, you did.
he's just been going off. I'm trying to figure out, um, yeah, compared to other batters in the league, I think he might have
I think
the
he's
most
number.
point.
I think
Oh no,
he's at least top three right now. I mean,
I think he's
you as a
I
team, anyways. Now, here's one thing that did surprise me: is you're sitting
think he is 3 now.
in your what? Do I not have you on here? You're
Because it's
oh,
Otani.
you're currently tied for seventh with average points per player in your batting lineup, which did
Yeah,
kind of surprise me. But you're first in
not
pitching.
disappointing.
You're
Yeah,
averaging about 175 points per player, which, like you talked about, your pitching staff is kind of really where you like to see it, and you're feeling really good
hmm
about it. I mean, you have Shane McClanahan,
he's been
261
yeah.
fantasy points. He's 7-3 with 105 strikeouts already this season. 105
He's,
and a 1.84 ERA.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't have a guy like that in your pitching rotation and not be leading the league in
Yeah.
average points per
Absolutely.
player. At that point.
Yeah.
And you got teams out there. You got Ronald Reagan. You got Isaiah, who leans very, very, very heavily on pitching. I
Hmm.
think I looked at his lineup today. He has like 4 batting order or batting positions that just have nobody in it.
Yep. Yeah.
Um, and like you also stated, you only have one player on the IL who's been there all year, right? I had a
Yeah.
conversation earlier today with Indigenous Peoples, Jonathan, and he said that the killer for him right now is the IL.
Yeah.
And I know that's been killing me all year where I just have these guys on the IL to where I don't even have IL spots to put them in. And I have no
Mhm.
choice but to either drop them or to take a loss as
Yeah.
far as
Just lose a
those points
spot.
go. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, is that something for you that you believe has really given you an advantage? Is just allowing everybody to score all the time, all year, or
Yeah. I mean, it's nice not having to worry about. And I've had people on there every once in a while, but they're not on there much. Besides the one guy that I have,
mm-hmm.
actually, I'm seeing now just got moved to the 60-day DL. Um, but I mean, Sonny Gray was on there 15 days. I think one of my other better pitchers was on there 15 days. It's like, that's not going to kill you.
Right?
But it's really nice to have the solid group of people, and then they're all healthy, so you don't have to,
Mm-hmm.
you know, have 2 people on the IL and then 2 people who are on the injured list, and then you just lose those spots and you're not able to get
Right.
points though.
Now,
That's a big killer.
oh yeah, well, and something else I noticed too. I went through your lineup, and your pitching staff. Obviously, got to prepare. And something I did notice, you have 9 batters, 9 people on your roster, 9 batters on your roster that are in the top 10 in their position.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So 9 of your batters are ranked 10 or better at their position for their position rank. Now, your pitchers, you only have 5, right? But the pitchers that you do have in those top 5 positions
Oh
are
yeah.
throwing down. I
Yeah.
mean, they're just like destroying. They're running the league. And so I feel like that's put you in a really good position. I think you're one of the few teams, to be honest with you right now, whose roster you could just ride out the rest of the year and be successful.
Hmm.
Now, obviously, injuries happen. People kind of go in slumps. With a slump, you kind of sit in that awkward position of, do I hold on to them and hope they come out of it? Or
Yeah.
do I make a change? And it seems like, at least for me, when I make a change, they go on a tear again as soon as I get rid of them. And if I hold on to them, they just never come out of it. How do you make that decision when it comes to slumps and changing those players out?
Yeah. I mean, it depends on my preconceived notion of who the player is. Like if Goldschmidt's not getting me runs for a month and he's
Mm-hmm.
doing, maybe averaging maybe 1 point a game, I'm not going to drop him, because I
Right.
have confidence in him that he's going to bounce back and be good. So, yeah, a lot of my pitchers have, just depending on how good I think they are in real life and like how well they're like attaining to their potential
Mm-hmm.
really affects like how quickly I drop them. So, for example, Robbie Ray, he's a good pitcher. He's my second overall draft pick. He's only got me 134 points,
Mm.
4.52 ERA, 5-6 win loss record. Not doing too hot, but I've kept him on, hoping he's going to bounce back.
Mm-hmm.
But there's been other people who I pick up, and they have been doing as good as Robbie Ray, but I drop him because I don't think they're that great of a pitcher.
Right.
Just depending on what my idea of who they are and how good and their potential can be
Right.
depends on how I'm gonna keep them in or not.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Well,
that's
I
basically how I
mean,
go about it.
it seems like you pretty much got your season figured out. You got the roster to take you a long way. To be honest with you, I see a World Series, if not this year, maybe next year. You got the roster for it for sure. It just, you got to have players show up when it counts.
Yeah.
Currently, you are on a 3-game winning streak. So you did have that rough loss, 4 weeks ago. But again, when you're 7-2 and you got the roster that you have, you're gonna lose sometimes, right? That's gonna happen. It's just how you bounce back, and you guys bounce back with a 3-game winning streak. You do.
Yeah.
Also, you're sitting at a 93% playoff chance. I don't think that you have a lot to be concerned about. Like we've talked about, your roster is where it's at. So now that we've talked about your team, now that we've talked about, where you think this season's going, how well things are going, those types of things, now is when we have a little bit of fun. All right.
Alrighty.
So we'll start off with this question, okay? What do you believe is the stupidest thing that players do or that happens in baseball, right? So I'll give you an example. This is mine.
Boy.
One of the dumbest things I think that happens is when a batter pops the ball up on the infield, right? The pitcher points up as if to say, hey, infielders, in case y'all weren't paying attention, in case y'all didn't know, there's a pop-up on the infield, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's dumb. I just think it's one of those things where it's like, it's so pointless. It's silly. Is there anything like that for you that you just see?
Are we talking like MLB or just baseball in general?
Just baseball in general.
Okay, I can think of a couple things. I don't know what I can think about in the major leagues. That's a really good example. But in like just regular stuff, one of the things I see is I saw this in our game in my adult league the other day. Is there's a pop up right to the pitcher, like it's gonna land on pitcher's mound. He points up, like you said, and then sprints away from it. just wants nothing to do with it at all. It was so funny. I mean, as a pitcher who's broken his nose on a pop fly, I understand it, but also there's just no point for that. Our second baseman's like catching it on the run, like right. Hand out.
Or you get four infielders that watch it land all in between them.
Yeah, exactly.
And you see that at the pro level all the time.
Yeah, you do. So I think that's a hilarious one.
Okay.
I think Little League, people clapping on the bases cracks me up.
Like are you saying clap in the context of like to distract the pitcher?
Like leading off, like.
Oh, yep. Okay. As a coach, as a 9-year-old Little League coach and a 13U select team coach, drives me nuts. Absolutely drives me nuts.
If my player does that, he's done.
He's getting benched. Right, left bench. I don't care. I'll play with 8 guys, right? Okay, so here's the next one. I got 2 more for you. So the next one is, what do you think is the worst Major League Baseball stadium?
Stadium.
Yeah, and I guess I mean this question more in the context of the stadium itself. But you could also answer it in the context of like the field, right? So if you think it's say
the dimensions,
say Camden Yards, right? They did that stupid left field wall, and now like the field's just kind of dumb. But the stadium's gorgeous. So I would say mine. I'll give you mine first. Mine is the Mets Stadium. I think it is the most generic, like lazily designed stadium in Major League Baseball. It's boring. It's I compare it to a wall that's painted gray, right? But yeah, so I'd say that's mine.
Okay. Have the Marlins switched their stadium recently?
Well, they built that one with the stupid thing in the outfield, statue in the outfield. Remember, it was like that little tiki statue thingy.
I'm not sure. I remember they used to have like these fish, or like maybe like marlin, like robotic kind of things that went back and forth.
Yeah, I think that's
like orange.
Remember I think that's the thing in the outfield.
Yeah, I hate that. I hate it. I think it's.
It is a meme, though.
I don't know.
Right? Like.
I mean, at least they're doing something with it. At least they're trying. They're not like, wall painted gray.
Right.
I just think.
They failed.
I just think it wasn't good. Yeah,
they epically failed, but they tried. Okay, that's fair enough. I'll take that.
And
okay.
I also think the National Stadium is pretty bland when we went there.
It is, yes.
Not much to it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd agree
And
with that.
the Phillies had a little bit more, but
The
being raised in
Phillies,
Pittsburgh,
I like the Phillies. It wasn't anything special by any means.
yeah,
Like you've Pittsburgh and even Cleveland. It has a little bit of character because they got the tall
hmm
wall. It kind of the home run porch. Like there's some special things there.
yeah,
But yeah, I would say like the Phillies was acceptable.
hmm
But the Nationals is just it feels like it's just kind of there.
yeah,
Like a generic build your own stadium Lego set.
absolutely.
So yeah, I'd agree with that.
I feel like
Um,
if we're talking dimension wise, Fenway, I
I
would hate pitching there. I mean,
so
it's iconic, but
I think what you
the
said is
dimensions
very
are off.
very controversial. But I'm gonna have to agree with you. I think the dimensions are just absolutely ridiculous. It's the opposite, pretty much, of what was it, old Forbes Field,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
where
The,
I think it was Forbes, where it's like 600 feet.
the
You
Polo
know,
Ground. Yeah.
yeah, Polo Grounds. It's pretty much the opposite of that. It's ridiculous. It's not even necessary.
Yeah, I mean,
But it's
if
also
I, yeah,
Fenway, so
yeah, you can, I mean,
it's
yeah, it's classic. It's a
it's
great
classic.
stadium,
Yep.
but the dimensions are just not there.
All right. So here's
But
my last question for you. What is your favorite baseball saying? Okay. So mine is it's a can of corn, right? You get that little pop up. Oh, it's a can of corn for the opposing team.
okay,
I think that has to be one of my favorite classic, kind of sayings.
yeah.
Are there any that stick out in your mind,
Oh,
or any where you're just like every time you hear it, you just goosebumps?
oh man. Um,
Think back to your 2003 backyard baseball days, right?
yeah.
Any smack talk. Oh, pitcher's got a rubber arm. Some of
I
those
don't know.
things.
Nothing. The first thing that came into my mind. It's not really a classic baseball one, but I guess it's pretty baseball. But like, the hey, what do you say now, kid, or something like
Okay.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
like that a lot. Um, yeah, I can't think of anything else, like a can of corn, um, frozen rope,
Oh, that's a solid
frozen
one.
rope. That
That's
I'll
a
go with that
solid
one.
one. I like
Yeah,
that one. I like that one a lot.
yeah.
All right.
Michaela's watching a game with me, and she's like, "Frozen rope." I'm like,
Frozen
"Yeah,
rope.
like it's just straight."
It's a line drive, man.
Yeah,
You take a rope, you lay it out, get it wet, and freeze it. You know?
straight.
All right, so here's what we're gonna end with, and I'm gonna give everybody a chance to do this when they have their interview. The questions may change, but this will always stay the same. If you have one thing to say to the rest of the teams in the league, if you got some smack to say,
Oh boy.
now's your chance. Go in, go hard. Give it to that. If you piss people off, that's even better. All right? Now's your chance.
Oh,
Let's see what you got. What does Joel have in the tank of smack talk? We're all about to find out. From the mouth of a pastor.
I was just saying, it felt really good to give Isaiah his first L.
Hey, I think
That was
that
nice.
would make anybody feel good.
That was great.
I lost on Sunday to him because I scored 2 points on Sunday.
I was worried going into the last day, to be honest, and he made a good comeback, but wasn't quite enough. So that felt good. I felt real good. Joe, big shout out to him. He beat me. I'll get him next time around, no doubt.
And Joe doesn't beat
That one hurt.
anybody.
Yeah, that's about all I got.
That's the best you got. You
Yeah,
got no smack to talk. Come on.
man, just look at the free agency list. Here, I'll give an example. For Kyle Wright, 203 points on the year. Nestor Cortez, 209 points on the year. Pivetta, 162 points on the year. Sonny Gray, 114, but he's been doing really good recently. He's on the IL. all from free agency. I picked them up. Good stuff there. You got to be looking. Got to keep an eye out.
Mm-hmm.
If you look, there's people there to pick up. Get rid of those people who are slumping. Same thing for batters.
Try to give you a run for your money, huh?
You got to find the diamonds in the rough. And Nestor Cortez has been 6-2 win record, 75 strikeouts, 1.94 ERA, 0.93 WHIP.
So if I understand you correctly, essentially what you're saying is you need the other teams to go out and put rosters together that can actually compete with you and make it a little more interesting and a little more fun.
Sure.
That's what I'm getting.
If you want to interpret it that way, for sure.
Hey, that's the way we'll take it.
Now that I've already got my team set, I'll give that advice.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's Joel. Joel, thank you for coming on. It was a pleasure.
Be here. It was fun.
Look for the show. We'll be uploading this on Saturday. We may have some little bonus stuff at the end. I don't know yet. But yeah, man. Hey, best of luck this year.
Thank you.
I know you got the roster for it. As long as you beat everybody but me, I'm happy. And yeah, it was a pleasure having you on, man. Pleasure talking to you. It was fun. I look forward to the next time we get to sit down.
Yeah. Good time.
Good time, man. All right. Well, hey, best of luck this season, and we'll talk later.
See ya.
Peace.